Okay, well, welcome to Money Diaries. We are back at it again. Back when I shared this video last year, I said that I would turn this into a monthly series. And after a few videos, I kind of dropped off, but we're coming back to it because I really want to make Money Diaries a regular monthly series. First of all, not only will it help keep me accountable, but there's not a lot of people who are showing you how they are managing their money. How does a real person navigate through their budget and financial goals and all the crazy money decisions? That is something that I don't think we have enough of on YouTube. So I am recommitting to Money Diaries as a monthly series where I go over exactly how I budget, how I budgeted last month, what I'm budgeting for next month, how I spent my money, how I feel about that, any big financial decisions that I'm making and financial goals that I'm saving for, and my investments. This is also that we can open up the conversation around money, make it less taboo, make it less hush-hush. And my hope is that by making this a regular monthly thing, it becomes a safe space so that when Rose comes out with her monthly Money Diaries video, you know that that's your cue to look at your budget, to take care of any of the financial to-dos that you've been hanging over you. And in the comments, we can all learn and improve with our finances and move towards our financial goals together. So that's what I'm envisioning. I'm not going to worry about getting a lot of views with these videos, what the algorithm does. I just want to create community, a sense of belonging, and do something fun together so we can all improve with our finances together. Sound good? Okay, so with that, let's jump into my budgeting app and see what happened for the month of May. I use a budgeting app called YNAB, and I absolutely love it because without it, I have no idea where my money is going, whether I'm spending more than I make, what my financial goals even are. I just have no idea what's going on. That's why I've learned to really rely on YNAB as a form of self-care to myself, as something nice that I do for myself. Because we all know that budgeting and having money in the bank is not about just having a lot of dollars. It's about being able to do life the way that you want to live it, to have money for the things that make us happy. So looking at my spending for May, I spent around $11,300. I know my rent is extremely high and we are going to do something about that. More on that in a minute. I will say overall that my wellness category and hobbies category were well over what I typically spend. I took myself on a little spa retreat in the mountains and spent a lot on massages and facials. That doesn't normally happen, but I really wanted to treat myself. And for hobbies, I spent around $1,700 for sailing classes in Marina del Rey, which was really, really fun. More on why I'm taking sailing classes in a bit. Another thing that I actually really love about YNAB is it tells you sort of trends compared to other months because, okay, you spent $11,000, but is that high or is that low? It depends on what you typically spend in other months, right? So if you look at my last 12 months of spending trends, you'll see that although there's a lot of lumpiness, because some months I have to pay a big medical expense or I pay a big annual insurance premium for like my disability insurance, things like that. So things are very lumpy, but overall, my average monthly spending has been $11,000. Now, I have been trying to keep this number down, but ever since I moved to LA last year, I'm finding that for the lifestyle that I want to live, it's been tricky. So we are making some big changes about that because I realize I don't want to be spending $11,000 a month. I would rather be spending $6,000 or $5,000 a month and investing and saving more. So more on that in a minute. Another way I like to look at my budget is in terms of groups. I group all my expenses in 3 categories: needs, wants, and financial goals. I call financial goals add a zero as a nod to my new book coming out. Now, in my book, in chapter 4, I talk all about budgeting, and there I share 3 budget allocations that I recommend. One is the power saver, where you go 50% towards needs, 30% towards goals, and 20% towards your wants, or the balanced builder, where you do 60% towards your needs, 20% towards goals, 20% wants, or you can go for the steady starter budget, where it's 70, 10, and 20. Looking at the average of my spending over the last 12 months, I've basically been solidly in the balanced builder budget allocation, 50, 30, 20, and I'm quite happy with that. As you can see, I allocated 20% towards wants, and I really think that's a good rule of thumb for anyone, regardless of your budget, because I always want you to allot at least 20% towards wants, to going out to dinner with your friends, to going to a festival, doing things that help you enjoy life now, because otherwise because budgets aren't sustainable. And that is one reason why so many people fall off budgeting, because they don't allocate enough for those fun things. They feel super deprived, and so they just abandon budgeting altogether. But if you start using your budget as a tool to help you do more of what you actually want, there's a higher chance you're going to stick to it. I truly don't believe in this deferred living model of retirement where you should be frugal and not spend anything, save everything you make, invest so that you can one day retire, but not enjoy your life right now. I don't believe in that way of living. I think there's a way to balance, and the way to do that is by budgeting. Okay, now let's talk about next month's budget, June. So we're at the beginning of June right now when I'm filming this, and I'm expecting the same salary every single month, $7,731 after taxes. And because I got a tenant in my Mexico City condo, he has already paid me June rent of $1,361. So now I'm going to show you how I budget for the month, whether you use YNAB or you do it on a spreadsheet or some other app. And the thing to do with budgeting is to give every dollar a job. And then throughout the month, you make sure that those dollars are actually doing those jobs. So first, I'm going to use these dollars to cover my needs, things like rent, property taxes, etc. The property taxes are for my Mexico City condo. And I've set up YNAB in a way that it automatically knows how much I need to assign to each of these categories every single month using a YNAB feature called targets. For example, YNAB knows that for groceries, I'm going to want to assign $750 a month, for transportation, $50 a month, for Jupiter, $300 a month, etc. So I'm just going to select all of these in one go. It knows how much I need to set aside for each category every single month, a total of $3,160. And in one click, see how those dollars went and populated all these categories? So a bunch of dollars have been given jobs. Now, if you're wondering why I'm not budgeting for rent, it's because I actually moved out of my expensive $5,000 a month apartment. For my first year in LA, I really wanted to live on the beach and just give myself a really smooth landing, easeful luxury experience in LA. So I got myself a very bougie apartment because, hey, your girl can afford it. But after a year of living there, as much as I loved this apartment, I realized I would rather have my money going towards other things. And we'll talk about what those things are in just a minute. Because in life, you can afford anything, but you can't afford everything, right? If you are paying high rent in a nice apartment now, you are saying no to something else. That's completely fine. The choice is yours. But you always want to be aware of what are the trade-offs. And as long as you're okay with those trade-offs, then spend your money how you like. But personally, spending that much on rent no longer felt good to me after a whole year. All right, let me just finish giving all of these dollars jobs. Okay, there we go. We'll know we're done with our June budgeting when all of this money has been assigned to its various categories. And the idea is throughout the month, I will continually check my budget to make sure that the dollars that I wanted to go for certain things actually go for those things. Now, I can always make adjustments. I can move money from hobbies over to travel, or from travel over to medical and dental, depending on what happens throughout the month. So it's all super flexible, but at least I have somewhat of a plan, and that's always going to work out better than not having a plan at all and hoping for the best. Starting in July, I will have to budget something for rent because in June, we're mostly traveling. I'm going to stay in this van at my boyfriend's house, going to be in New York for 3 weeks. So no rent there. But starting July 1st, we will be moving into a house together with a roommate. We got a house with a yard, which I'm really, really happy about. And the rent is going to be a lot cheaper. I'm expecting to pay $2,000 maximum. And that's going to be really nice to have $3,000 extra every single month, not going towards rent. Okay, and now for an investment/net worth update. In terms of how I've invested my money, this is the allocation. I have a tiny slice in crypto. That's mainly Bitcoin and Ethereum, 34% in stocks, 43% in rental properties that are all in Las Vegas, and 17% in foreign rental property, which is my condo in Mexico City. My stock portfolio took a huge hit in April along with the market crash, but all of that has recovered and more. So yet another lesson that you should never panic during stock market crashes because the market always recovers and you never want to make any rash selling decisions. Now, in terms of future investment plans and freedom goals that I have and how I'm planning to fund them, I have been thinking a lot about just housing in LA. And if you live in LA, I'm sure you can commiserate. It is expensive out here. And it really sucks to be paying so much in rent every single month. On the other hand, I'm also not one of those people, boomers, who tell you that you need to buy a house, that it's the only way to truly build wealth and blah, 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 blah. Because honestly, buying a house is not always the best decision financially. Sometimes it makes perfect sense to rent. You'll have way more peace of mind, keep your costs fixed instead of the unpredictability of home maintenance and repair costs. And there's a lot of benefits to renting. But something I realized is when you buy a house, you're basically guaranteeing that you will never have to move again if you don't want to. With renting, because rents go up and your landlord might kick you out, there's a huge difference in the level of stability that you feel in your life when you actually own your place. You can also renovate it how you want, etc. So long story short, I've been thinking about how I can make home ownership in LA a reality for me. And one way that I'm considering doing this is looking for multifamily property in LA, one where there is a big lot of land and multiple houses on it, maybe one main house with one or two guest houses, something like that, so that the property generates income. And maybe if we play this right by living in the main house and renting out the other two, we can subsidize most of our housing costs and also get a lot of tax advantages, because when you have an income producing property, a lot of the repairs that you make on that property can be tax deductible. So I'm thinking, what is a smart way to make home ownership a reality? So in order to move closer to that goal, I have decided to put one of my Vegas rental properties on the market, and I'm trying to sell for two reasons. One, I've decided remote rental property is just not for me. And secondly, it's gone up a lot since I bought it. I'd be profiting maybe $100,000 to $170,000 if I get the selling price that I want. I feel like we're on the verge of some big market changes to the housing market, stock market, a recession, some big changes on the horizon. So I feel like now is a really good time to sell and get a high price. So the idea is to sell, sit on that money in a high yield savings account, and see if I could maybe put that towards this multifamily house that I want to buy in LA instead. This is what I've decided to do, and we're going with it. So I'll keep you posted and we'll see what happens. I used to care a lot about investing a bunch of money and building this huge dividend portfolio so that I could then live off the investment income. But here's what I realized. There will always be a trade-off between investing a lot of money and enjoying your life now. I don't know if you've ever heard of the FIRE movement, Financial Independence, Retire Early. And this is a whole group of people who invest a bunch of money and have a super high savings rate in order to accumulate X amount of investments so that they can retire early. And I used to be all about this philosophy, but then I also realized this is a form of deferred living. But more and more, this idea of deferred living is resonating with me less and less. I'm just realizing how precious life is, because the older I get, and I'm only 36 right now, but I'm realizing how precious life is. It's so precious that I don't want to defer happiness and joy for someday tomorrow. Even if it's in 10 years, 10 years is a long time to wait to deprive yourself. So the conclusion that I've come to is I'm okay with putting away a little bit less for retirements and investments and not going for early retirement. And I'd much rather do work that I love, or at least that I enjoy, that gives me purpose, that pays me enough to do all the things that I want in my life. And the idea is, even when I'm old, I'm not going to retire because I enjoy what I do. I enjoy being a productive member of society. And if you really need a break, go ahead and take a mini retirement for 2 months, for 3 months, for even a year, like I did when I was living in my camper van and gallivanting around to festivals. That was a blast. But after a year, I was like, all right, back to work because I'm bored. So that's really where my head is at these days, is building a life that you don't want to retire from. And in the meantime, enjoying your life to the fullest. I recently discovered a love for sailing, but unfortunately also realized sailing is a very expensive hobby. But hey, I'm going to figure out a way to make that work. I'm young enough to do it. If I want to sail around the world, now is the time to do it. I'm not going to put that off for when I'm 65 and too old to enjoy it. The window to make core memories with the people in your life is now. So let's let that be our guiding light and use our money as a tool to allow us to do all of those things. What about you? What is one core memory that you really want to make, and how are you going to make that happen financially? The only way to do that is to budget for it. That's it for this month's episode of Money Diaries. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be doing these every single month from now on, so let me know what you thought in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.